Hey, my name is April, and I am the Peaceful Wife. Today I want to talk about the fact that, yes, we do respect our husbands primarily because God commands us to. And before we really can learn to respect our husbands, we've got to be right with God, and then He can give us the power to become the women and the godly wives He wants us to be. But even though I talk about our motives being primarily one, to obey and please God, and two, to bless and love our husbands, I think it's important for us to understand that just like wives want to be loved just because our husbands want to love us, husbands want to be respected because their wives want to respect them. It's hurtful for a lot of husbands to hear a wife say something like, well, I'm going to respect you not because I really feel like you deserve it, but because God says I have to. One husband shared on my blog, I don't think that husbands want to have duty sex or duty respect or duty submission. Like, a husband wants to feel like my wife respects actual good things in me. And the thing is, when God empowers us to respect our husbands, it is genuine respect that He teaches us to have, and we look for the good things in our husband, the things that we can truly respect, and build on that. But sometimes when we're first starting in this journey, we don't understand respect very well, or what's disrespectful, and we may inadvertently say things that actually sabotage what we're trying to do. For instance, if we say stuff like, God wants me to submit to you, so I guess I can't take over even though I really feel like I should, and it's really hard not to, that's probably a little too much information for your husband. He doesn't need to hear how hard it is for you to respect him. That's counterproductive. It's going to set you back. He doesn't need to hear things like, I'm really trying to figure out how I can respect you, what things I can respect about you, but man, this is tough. I don't know. I can hardly think of anything. Like, that's really disrespectful. And if we say things like that, and maybe we don't realize we're being disrespectful, but it's going to just push back the healing process much longer. It's just going to widen the chasm and the pain and wounds in the marriage, and it's not going to be helpful. Some other things that are examples of things not to say, things that would actually sound disrespectful when we're trying to learn to be respectful, would be things like, I've decided I'm going to try to respect you more even though you don't deserve it. I don't actually trust you, but I'm trying to trust God to lead me through you. I think your ideas are terrible. Like, these kinds of things are not going to help. So sometimes in the beginning of this journey, when we still are trying to figure out what is respectful and what's not, it can be better not to talk a lot about what we're doing. Because if we talk about it, we may actually make things worse. And a lot of the husbands on my blog said, men really don't want to hear what you're going to do or why you're doing what you're doing. They just want to see you do it. Like, words don't have a lot of value for a lot of men. They would rather see actions. And if you give a bunch of words about how you're going to respect him or whatever, and then you don't do it, then that makes the husband feel betrayed and makes him lose trust, which we don't want to do. So, yes, ultimately our motives are going to be primarily to please God and become the women God wants us to be. But our husbands also need to know that the respect we have for them is real, that we want to respect them, that there are things we truly do admire about them, that it's not all just, well, I have to respect you, so I guess I will. Because that is not very inspiring to a man. And it's the same, we would feel the same way if our husband said, well, I'm going to love you because God says I have to, but I really don't want to. That would hurt. And maybe there are times if a spouse is involved in really unrepentant infidelity or something, or sin, that it may be appropriate to say something like that. But in general, it's probably best not to talk like that. And, I talk about us doing this because we just want to please God, not to try to change our husbands. I'm not saying that it's wrong for us to want our husbands to love us. That's not wrong. That's what marriage is supposed to be. There is supposed to be a mutuality in marriage. There's supposed to be reciprocity where both the husband and the wife love and respect each other. That is the goal. And it's a good thing to want that, but if I want my husband's love more than I want Jesus, that's a problem. And if I don't feel like I have my husband's love and I'm willing to sin or try to control him or disrespect him or whatever to try to get him to love me, that's a problem. So I think the issue is where that desire is in our level of priorities. And I think as we put Christ first and we do this primarily for him, he will change our heart. He will change our desires. He gives us the power to become the women he calls us to be. And then we can show real respect for our husbands, and that will be a blessing to them, and that's obedience to God. So I hope this might be helpful, and if you want to find me, you can also reach me at my blog, www.peacefulwife.com. Thank you so much for watching.